Hello, hello. How are you all? Welcome to another IELTS journey with Fabi, where we talk about everything and anything IELTS. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Fabi. I'm an English teacher and I live here in Brisbane, Australia. And I help people prove their English level so they can study abroad, work abroad, live abroad. Okay, prove their English. So you need to prove your English so you can achieve your goals abroad. Okay, guys? And today is, of course, another special live because this is a warm up for the workshop IELTS Booster. So the workshop IELTS Booster will start next week on the 26th. Okay, sorry, not next week, the following week, 26th of May. Okay, and we have 3 classes. Okay, and I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna tell you actually what my students are doing wrong and what they are doing to improve. And I'm also gonna tell you how to start studying for the IELTS test. And I'm also going to tell you what the test is like. And I'm also going to answer lots of questions that you have. Okay, all packed in 3 lessons. If you'd like to join, if you're watching me on Instagram, you can just type join in the comments and you will get the link, or you can go to the link in the bio. If you're watching me on YouTube, you can go to the description in this video and you will find the link. All right, goody goody. So today we are going to talk about reading for the IELTS test. Do you have problems with the reading? Do you have problems with the reading? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments. So, there are some people watching me on Instagram right now. Guys, I will be sharing my screen on YouTube. So if you're watching me on Instagram, you can click on the link I just sent in the comments here, and you can go and watch me on YouTube and you can see my screen. Hello, some people are saying hello. If you want to tell me where you're watching me from, go ahead. I love to know where you guys are watching me from. Okay, but if you really want to have the full experience, go to YouTube. Okay, so lots of people saying hello on Instagram. Guys, click on the link and say hello to me in on YouTube. Oh, some people on YouTube already. I have problems. Okay, Jimena, how are you? Yes, I've been working with Jimena. I've been helping her heaps. So, Jimena, any questions? Pop the questions in. Okay, people on YouTube, sorry, people on Instagram, go to YouTube. All right, cool. So let's get started. Let's get started. So, first of all, we're gonna do an overview of the reading part of the IELTS test. Okay. So, as you already know, there are 2 types of IELTS tests. One type is the academic, the other type is the general. Okay, so people who are going to do the general IELTS are the ones who are thinking about moving abroad. Okay, some people are saying hello from Mexico. See you on YouTube. See you on YouTube. You can say hello on YouTube too. So people who are going to do the general IELTS are the ones who are going to live abroad. Okay, that's actually Jimena's case. Okay, she wants to go to Canada. She wants to immigrate to Canada. Someone saying hello on YouTube. So if you want to um, live abroad, you're going to do the general one. All right, and if you want to study, you will do the academic IELTS. All right. Okay. So when it comes to academic and general, okay, IELTS academic and IELTS general, when it comes to those, the difference is in reading and writing. Speaking and listening is the same. So it doesn't matter if you're going to do academic or general, listening and speaking is the same. Reading and writing is different. Okay. So I don't know if you guys saw my live from yesterday. If you are thinking about the differences between IELTS academic and IELTS general, watch the live from yesterday where I talked about writing. Okay. Today we're going to talk about reading. So in the reading part, when it comes to the general IELTS, you have 3 parts. The first part, you have two texts that are short. It's like, the page, less than a page, quite short. Then part two, you are going, and with about 12 to 13 questions, okay, in section one. Then section two, you have two slightly longer texts. I call them medium-sized texts. And you have around 12 to 13 questions also. But then for the general, the full, section three is a full text, academic. So when you are going to do the IELTS General, the reading part, you will see that the test gets harder. First part, simple. Second part, a little bit longer. Third part, very long. Because section 3 in IELTS Reading General is just like an academic one. So it's quite long. Okay, but in total, you have 40 questions and you have 1 hour to do it. Okay, IELTS academic, reading, academic reading. Okay, so academic reading, you also have 3 parts, but then you have 3 long texts. What changes is a little bit the topic. So the first topic is usually simpler than the last topic. The last topic is usually something very specific about one specific field. Okay, so that's what it is. So when we have the general, IELTS reading general, 3 parts. First part, shorter texts. Second part, medium texts. Last part, more academic texts. Academic, 3 texts also, 40 questions. You have 1 hour to do it. And you also have 3 texts, but they're all longer. Okay? But then, if you think about it, you're going to think, okay, Fabi, so IELTS General, I have shorter texts. IELTS Academic, I have longer texts. So that means that IELTS General is easier. What do you think, guys? Is the IELTS General easier? Yes or no? I'm going to share my screen with you so I can show you something pretty cool. Let me show you something pretty cool. Okay, so Jimena said no. Answer, Jimena. No, guys. So let's say you need to do IELTS Academic and you need a 6, right? So you need 23 to 26 correct answers. But if you're going to do the general and you need a 6, you need 30 to 31 points. So is the IELTS General easier because the texts are shorter? No, it is not. All right, so keep this in mind. Here, the texts, so in the academic, the texts are longer. Here, the texts are shorter, of course, except for the last one. So people think the general is easier, but it's not. And when I'm helping my students, sometimes they want to check. So they start with general and they go, oh, Fabi, I can't get my score. Let me try the academic. And we practice the academic reading. And guess what? They get the exact same score. Okay, guys. So there isn't an easier one. You should do the one you need to do. And that's it. Okay, so if you don't know, okay, your test, sorry, there's no easy, it's all the same. Okay, just so you know that. So I just wanted to clarify that with you guys. All right. Okay, cool. So let me go back here. Cool. Guys, if you have questions, you can pop the questions in. All right. And if I don't answer your question straight away, I'll be able to get to them later. Okay. So now I get this question sometimes. Fabi, I don't know which test I have to do. I don't know which test I have to do. Which one should I practice then? What do you think, guys? If someone doesn't know if they need IELTS Academic or IELTS General, which one do you think they should practice? Which one do you think? In my opinion, okay, if you are going to do the test but you don't know which one you're going to do, especially for reading, I think that you should start practicing with the academic. Why the academic? Because the academic it's a little bit more challenging to do. Okay, when you start, it can be tricky. Okay, scoring wise is the same, but when you read, it can be a little bit more challenging because the texts are so long. And remember, the last part of the general test is academic. So if you don't know which one you're going to practice for, you should be practicing academic. Okay, if you don't know. But if you know, go to the one you know you're going to do. So, for example, in my course, we always start with the academic. The focus is academic. And then when the person is ready, they start practicing for the general. Okay, guys. So that's the best way. Okay, the best thing you can do. All right. So any questions? Pop them in. Pop them in. All right. Okay. So problem number 1. So I'm going to talk about some problems that my students have been sharing with me. Okay. So problem number 1, time pressure. Okay. Most people have problems with time pressure. So you have 60 minutes to answer 40 questions. And most people struggle with that. Okay, so 40 minutes for 60 questions. So there are a few things that you can do so you can read faster and you can save time. Okay. With my students, we work a lot with the strategy of how much time do I spend in each part. Okay, so we are always talking about that, and it depends on your progress. It depends on where you're at. Okay, because what they recommend is, well, we have 1 hour to do the test, right? So we should be spending 20 minutes in each part. Maybe yes, maybe no. Sometimes I recommend my students spend less time or more time in specific parts of the IELTS test. But how do you know if you're going to spend more time or less time? It's personal. Okay, it's personal. I recommend my students do that after they have been practicing, and I talk to them and we make a decision. But this is a good way to manage your time, knowing I'm going to spend 20 minutes in part 1, 25 minutes in part 2, 15 minutes in part 3. Okay, so that helps too, knowing how much time you're going to be spending in each part. Okay. Another thing that saves you time, but few people do, is knowing all the types of questions that you will get on the day of the test. Actually, not on the day of the test, all the types of questions that you can get on the IELTS test. There are 12 different types of questions. 12. Okay, guys. So if you don't know those questions, what's going to happen? You are going to look at the text. Okay, so you're going to read the text and you're going to go to the question. You're going to look at the questions and you won't know what to do. If it's the first time you see that type of question, you're going to look at it and it's a long time to understand the question. If it takes you a long time, you are going to be wasting your time. So my recommendation, know all the types of questions you might get. And you might be thinking, oh, Fabi, that's obvious. Not really, guys. There are lots of people who actually don't know the types of question. So if you don't know the type of questions you might get on the day of the test, that's something you should be doing, because you don't want to look at a test because you don't have time to think. You just have to answer a question, answer. Okay? So if you are studying for the IELTS test, you should know all the types of questions that you might get. All right. So, and that will save you time because if you see a type of question that you've never seen before, what's going to happen? You're going to get stuck. And you really, really don't want to get stuck. All right, guys? Cool. So, we talked about managing your time. Okay, maybe in each part of the test, we talked about knowing all those types of questions and reading effectively. Okay, so I tell my students to read fast, okay? But of course, there are specific strategies for reading fast. Unfortunately, I don't have time to share that with you today here, okay? But with my students, we practice different ways of reading fast. Okay, there are different ways that you can read fast, and that's what you should be practicing, okay? I recommend a few things to my students, and then they practice and they do the ones that will work best for them. Okay, guys. So, simple things you can improve right now is managing your time. How much time you're going to spend? Okay, in each part of the test. Familiarizing yourself with the questions. What kind of questions am I going to get? Okay, what do they look like? What is my strategy? So you don't have to think a lot because you don't want to spend time thinking, oh, what am I going to do here? No, you look at it and you do it. Okay, that's the best thing you can do. And of course, reading fast, but reading effectively. All right, cool. Now, yeah. So I'm just going to tell you some types of questions that I have here. There are 12. Yeah, I have 10 here on my list. Maybe I'm missing a few. So I'm just going to quickly tell you the types and then you can think about it. Have you seen them before? Multiple choice. So, what is the multiple choice? Multiple choice is that one that you have a question and you have choices. Sometimes you have three, sometimes you have four. Okay. Another one is true, false, not given. True, false, not given. Very common one. People usually hate this one because this one's a little bit tricky. Okay. If you haven't practiced yet, you have to. If you want to get a high score on the IELTS test, you have to do it. Okay. Matching headings. People always hate this one too. Matching headings. You have that list of headings or titles, and then you have to match them to the paragraphs. Have you done this one before? Or matching information. Lots of matching information. A with B, okay? Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to A, B, C, D. Matching features, another one. Lots of matching. Matching sentence ending. So sometimes they have 3 half sentences, so 3 beginnings, and then you have to match with, they have 5 options for the rest of the sentence, and all that goes with the text, huh? Then sentence completion, they have a sentence and there is a gap. Sometimes it's 1 word, sometimes it's 2 words. Okay? You have to complete summaries. So they have a little summary based on the text and you have to complete it. And then sometimes you have to get words from the text. Sometimes you get words from a list. That's another one. Sometimes you have to complete notes, a table, a flow chart. Okay? So many things you have to do. And sometimes a diagram. If you're going to do the academic, there's usually a diagram and short answers. Sometimes they have those questions, which is just a question and you have to write a short answer. Okay. So, guys, I'm going to repeat them for you. So, multiple choice, true, false, not given, matching headings, matching information, matching features, matching sentence endings, sentence completion, summary, note, table, flowchart, diagrams, and short answers. How you feeling? Do you know all the types of questions? I don't think you should do your test if you don't know all of these types of questions. I don't think you should be doing your test if you don't know the strategies for each one of them. That's my next thing. People fail because they don't know the strategy for each part of the test. They don't know the strategy for each type of question. Okay, so that's something that you guys should be thinking about too. Okay, I'm fixing my hair. It's like a mirror here. Okay, so yeah, so that's something else that you guys have to think about. Okay, so know all the types of questions. And when I say know, is you look at it and you know what to do. So knowing the type of question, knowing the strategy goes together. Goody, goody. Any questions for me? Pop them in here, please. All right, cool. And for those of you who haven't joined my workshop yet, IELTS Booster. Okay. 3 lessons. I'll tell you lots of things you need to know about the IELTS, especially if you're starting your journey. If you just start your journey, that's the best place to go. Okay, the best place to go. All right. So if you haven't joined the workshop yet, click on the link below. So click below. If you're on YouTube, there is a link below in the description. If you're watching me on Instagram, you can type join and you will be joining. You'll be receiving a link so you can join the workshop. Okay, someone is saying hello from Peru. Hello. Hello, hello. Okay, all right. Now, I'm just gonna tell you some of the things that you can do. Okay, other things you can do, some strategies. Okay, cool. Let's say so. Lots of people talk about skimming and scanning. If you are my student, you know I don't talk about that. Skimming and scanning. Scanning is helpful sometimes. Skimming just means reading fast. And most people don't know how to read fast. So, with my students, we work with strategies on how to read fast. Okay, so yes, you should be reading fast. That's a must for the IELTS test. If you don't read fast, you are not going to be able to finish. Okay, so there are different ways that you can read fast. All right, so in my course, I tell my students some strategies and they practice and they do the ones that work best for them. All right, so keep this in mind. Okay, so yes, skimming is important, but skimming just means reading fast. Goody, goody. Okay, let me see my notes. Oh, timed practice. Of course, of course. So, before you do the test, guys, you have to make sure that you are practicing under exam conditions. Okay. If you are practicing for the IELTS, for the reading part of the IELTS test, and you are giving yourself 1 hour and 10 minutes, okay, you are giving yourself 1 hour and 30 minutes to do the reading, that's not real practice because on the day of the test, you only have 1 hour to do it. So, practicing under exam condition is a must if you want to succeed. All right. And of course, remember that when you don't have time at the end, so some people sometimes they go and they start answering the reading questions, right? And then especially people who used to do it on paper, okay, they would do it and then they would take some time at the end to transfer their answers. Okay, if you're going to do the test on the computer, you have 1 hour to do everything. You have 1 hour to read, 1 hour to answer, 1 hour to revise. So, my recommendation is always as soon as you finish, revise it, have a quick look. Give yourself some time to do that because maybe just one revision, when you read again those sentences, when you check your answers again, that might be a mistake. And you can fix that mistake, and that will give you an extra point. Okay, 100%, 100%. Okay. Something else that I always tell my students to do, highlight. I'm crazy about highlighting. Okay. And yes, you can highlight the text if you're going to do the test on the computer. You just use your mouse, select, right click, and you can highlight. And highlighting is definitely the key to your success. For me, highlighting makes the text shorter, and that's what you want. You want the text to be shorter. Are you using this strategy? Let me know in the comments. This is an extremely important activity, guys. You have to be doing it. All right, just to make your text shorter. And you'll be surprised. And I was doing some practice with some of my students today. And it was funny because they highlighted. So it was the first time they were practicing it. They highlighted a few things. And then they were quite surprised when they checked the answers for the test because they had highlighted the answers. So sometimes we don't know, but we are already highlighting the answer. So that's pretty cool. Question here. Is there any link where I can practice my fluency? Hmm. Um, Fluency, you mean for speaking, right? Today we're talking about reading. Can you just confirm with me you're talking about speaking instead of listening? I'm sorry, instead of reading, because they were talking about reading. Uh, Jimena says, I don't use underlining. Jimena, you have to. You have to. Okay, guys. So, underlining is the key. Underlining makes the text shorter. And sometimes people, when they start underlining, they say, oh, Fabi, I don't know if I'm underlining the right thing. And they sometimes ignore what they had underlined. You should be underlining what you think is important. You should be underlining what will help you remember the topic. That's what you should be underlining. So there is no right or wrong. You decide. But you should trust your highlighting. Okay. Jimena, I have homework for you. Okay, Jimena, you are going to practice one reading today. Okay, Jimena, you're going to practice one reading today and you are going to practice highlight. Just one part of the reading. Okay. You're going to practice highlighting. So you're going to read quickly, highlighting the key ideas. Then you're going to try to answer. And then, Jimena, I am sure that at least 50% of your answers will be some of what you have highlighted. Okay, so Jimena, do it. As soon as you finish, send me a message. I always say that to my students. Every time I give them homework, I tell them, message me as soon as you finish it and tell me your score. Okay, and then I can help you. Deal, Jimena? All right, guys. So highlighting 100%, 100%. Okay, totally do it. And yes, you can highlight when you do the test on the computer. It's fine. It's fine. Jimena says, yes, I'll do it. Perfect. Okay, guys. So yes, you can highlight when you do the test on the computer. They thought of that. Okay. I wouldn't be teaching you a strategy if it wasn't possible, guys. So yes, it is possible. 100%. Okay. Yeah. So here. So why do I think highlighting is the best thing to do? Highlighting shortens the text, highlighting saves you time, and also highlighting makes it easier to find information. 100%. When you start doing it, you will see the difference. You will see the difference. Okay, now I'm going to tell you one more thing. Okay, so I've told you a few things. We talked about what the readings like for the IELTS test. I told you the difference between academic and general. I told you both differences. And we also talked about the types of questions, how important they are. We talked about practicing under exam conditions. That's also very important. Okay. And now I'm going to tell you something that will sound obvious. As you know, lots of things I tell you here may sound obvious. Okay. However, people are not doing it or they are doing it wrong. That's what I see all the time. Oh, Fabi, the vocabulary in the reading is so difficult. You have to practice vocabulary. Oh, yeah. Or I say, you have to practice vocabulary. And they go, oh, but I am practicing. But then they're practicing the wrong way. Okay. So remember, guys, practicing vocabulary. Okay. So having good vocabulary, you are not going to do that the day before the test. That's not how it works. Unfortunately, with the IELTS test, that's not how it works. So when you are practicing vocabulary, you're not going to do that before the day before the test. You're going to be that a month before the test. You're going to do that 2 months before the test because practicing vocabulary, learning vocabulary will help you build. Okay? So, and that's something that you should be doing. But then people say, oh, yes, Fabi, I'm going to go to reading test. And you get a list. What are you going to do with that list? I don't know. Okay. To me, the best way to get some the best vocabulary is from the I just got a message here saying that my internet is not very good. We'll see how we go. Yeah, okay, the message is gone now. If I lose you guys, please let me know because I'll keep talking here. Okay. So, when it comes to vocabulary, I'm not a big fan of lists. I think that we should be getting vocabulary from the test itself. Okay. And also maybe from different sources, such as books. So, if you're reading a book, if you're reading an article online. Okay. So, these are, in my opinion, the best ways to improve your vocabulary. Don't get a list from the internet. Make your own list. Maybe make your list and then tell ChatGPT, hey, ChatGPT, this is the list I created for IELTS. Is it good? And ChatGPT will say, yes, it's amazing. I'm sure, if you do it the right way, like my students do. All right. So, again, my students, him and I can tell you guys, every time they do a reading test, they have to get 5 to 10 words from the text itself. And the topics repeat themselves. Okay, guys. So when we're doing it through the IELTS test, that's good too. But again, you can even, let's say that you've done reading test and you didn't do very well. What was the topic? Maybe you should do some research on that topic. All right, guys. So again, it's small things that you do. That's why you shouldn't start studying for the IELTS test 1 week before the test. You should start studying for the test 2, 3 months before the test, 6 months before the test. Yes, Jimena says, yes, that works. Yeah, it does. It works, and they have to do it. All right, guys. Cool. I think it's me for today. Oh, yeah. No, one more thing. I have to tell you. We have to always remember the IELTS test is an English test. So, does it mean that if you speak English well, you will get a high score? Maybe not. Does it mean that if you work with strategies for the test, you get a higher score? Maybe not. What you need is a combination. You need English and you need strategies. You need both. If you have only one, you might get stuck between a 5 and a 6. You should have both. Okay, guys, you should have English and you should have strategies too. That's the most important thing I'd like to tell you today. Okay, so work on both, especially for your reading. And then Jimena said, I really improved my vocabulary. I know, yeah, because this is a great thing to do. Okay, guys, great thing to do. Okay, do you have any questions for me? Any final questions about reading? And guys, so if you haven't joined yet, please join the workshop, IELTS Booster. I really, really want to help you. Here in these lives, you don't have that much time. In the IELTS Booster workshop, we will have plenty of time. And I'll be able to answer lots of different questions too. So if it is 100% free, okay, don't have to pay anything for the workshop IELTS Booster. If you're interested, if you're watching me on YouTube, click on the link in the description. If you're watching me on Instagram, you can type join or go to the link in the bio. Okay. Any final questions for me? No? Mm-mm. Saturday morning here in Australia. I'm going to go get some breakfast now that I've helped you guys a little bit. Okay, I'll be back on Tuesday for me, Monday night for you, Monday afternoon, Monday night for you guys. All right, so I'll be with you again every day next week. All right, if you have questions, the best way to get in touch with me is through Instagram. You can send me a direct message there. Okay, Jimena said, bon appetit. Thank you, Jimena. All right, guys, I'm going to head out now. But if you have questions, please send me a message later. All right. See you. Bye bye.